Breaking news from Las Vegas. A shocking report just dropped about star defensive tackle Christian Wilkins, and if it's true, it could change everything for the Las Vegas Raiders in 2025. Don't go anywhere. This update is big. But before we dive into the details, take a second to support the channel. Hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss the latest Raiders news. Let's get into it. Main script rewrite. A serious report is making the rounds, and it's got every Raiders fan talking. A content creator who covers the Las Vegas Raiders, Mitchell Renz, claims he's received exclusive inside information. And it's not good. According to him, Christian Wilkins is still struggling with foot pain, and the Raiders' team doctors have told him he might need another surgery. If that happens, Wilkins could miss the entire 2025 season. Now, some fans are skeptical of Mitchell Renz. They're saying, come on, is this even a reliable source? But here's the thing, Mitchell isn't just throwing out random rumors. He claims the info comes straight from someone connected to the team. Could it be a practice squad player? A backup? A staff member? Nobody knows for sure. But here's what we do know. Christian Wilkins had surgery 7 months ago. He's still feeling pain when he walks. That's not normal at this point in recovery. And the doctors are urging a second procedure. This isn't just gossip, it's a serious concern for the Raiders' defense. And while some may question the source, it's very possible that someone inside the organization is speaking out. Let me tell you, I've seen this happen before. Raiders insiders often pass info to content creators, especially those they trust. So, this story? It's not as far-fetched as it sounds, and this might just be the first sign of a bigger issue developing inside the locker room. We've got more coming in this video, including how this impacts the defensive line depth and who could step up if Wilkins is sidelined. Now, here's where the story gets even more intense. According to the report, Christian Wilkins has been told by Raiders team doctors that surgery is no longer optional. It's necessary. But Wilkins is pushing back. He doesn't want surgery. He wants to fight through the pain, stay on the field, and play the full 2025 season. Why? Because if he gets the surgery now, the recovery time is at least 3 to 6 months, which could cost him most, or all, of the season. The problem? This isn't just any injury. It's a Jones fracture, a foot injury that's notorious for coming back even after the first surgery. In fact, nearly 20% of players need a second procedure to fully fix it. That's exactly what the Raiders' medical staff is warning about now. Wilkins is still in pain. And when pain lasts this long after surgery, that's a red flag. So Wilkins now faces a brutal choice. Play through the pain and risk long-term damage, or get the surgery, sit out 2025, and come back healthy in 2026. Some think he might try to gut it out this season, and if the Raiders start off badly, maybe go under the knife halfway through the year. But that's risky. Foot injuries like this don't magically go away. And if he waits too long, it might hurt not just his health, but the Raiders' entire defensive game plan. And let's not forget, Las Vegas gave Wilkins a deal worth nearly $30 million per year. That's superstar money, and rightfully so. By his 4th year, Wilkins had gone from solid player to dominant force in the trenches. He was only getting better. His momentum was building. But now, one lingering injury could put all of that at risk. When Christian Wilkins first suited up for the Raiders, the impact was instant. In just a handful of games, he showed why Las Vegas went all in on him. He wasn't just showing up on the stat sheet, he was changing the game. Every snap, Wilkins was forcing adjustments. If a run was called up the middle, he'd shoot past the guard and blow it up. The result? The running back had to bounce outside, right into the arms of Tyree Wilson or Robert Spillane. That's what makes this injury situation even harder to swallow. Because when Wilkins is healthy, he's a force. Not flashy every play, but constantly disruptive. And for a defense that needs toughness up front, that kind of presence is irreplaceable. Now, let's talk about the contract. Some critics are starting to say it's a bad deal. But before this foot issue, nobody was complaining. The Raiders locked down one of the top defensive tackles in football. What else were they supposed to do? And remember, some other teams handed out bigger deals to guys who haven't proven half as much. Christian Wilkins earned his money. The injury, that's just bad luck, not a bad decision. Still, let's be honest, if Wilkins can't go in 2025, the contract becomes a tough pill to swallow. $28 to $30 million for a year of rehab is brutal. But here's the silver lining. If he can get back to full strength in 2026 and 2027, the Raiders could still get 2 elite seasons out of him. That's still a major win in the long run. The big question now is, can Wilkins be productive while playing hurt? If he fights through the pain, how will he hold up? Can he still explode off the line? Can he hold his ground when double-teamed? Will the foot limit his ability to play inside or shift into that one-technique role? These are serious concerns. Wilkins is known more for his run defense than pass rushing, so if that foot slows him down, it hits his strength directly. And sadly, this isn't brand new news. Back in March, an early report hinted this might be coming. Now, that early warning looks more and more real, and it's putting the Raiders in a tough spot heading into the season. Let's break this down clearly. Christian Wilkins had his first surgery months ago, back in October. He went through rehab, pushed himself through recovery, and by the off-season, he was back to working out. But now, the pain is still there. The foot hasn't healed right, and the Raiders' medical team is telling him, "You need a second surgery." Looking back, some might say Wilkins should have had this follow-up surgery in March, but that would have wiped out his off-season training. He might have missed most, or all, of the 2025 regular season. So instead, he kept pushing. He trained. He planned to be ready. Now, it's looking like that plan may have backfired. And while fans debate when the surgery should have happened, the reality is this. The Raiders may lose one of their best defenders for the entire season, and that hurts. Some people are still questioning the original report. But remember, this isn't coming from a random blog or rumor mill. It's not just he said, she said. This came from a content creator who claims to have a direct source inside the Raiders circle. And, let's be honest, this isn't the first time news has leaked before hitting the mainstream. Just think back to when Malcolm Kuntz's ACL injury was revealed. Before the official beat reporters confirmed it, a small Twitter account had it right, and they were laughed at. 2 days later, it was confirmed. So, don't be quick to dismiss what might sound unofficial. These early reports have been right before. Now the Raiders are stuck in a tough spot. Does Wilkins try to tough it out and risk even more damage? Or does he shut it down now and hope to be back if the Raiders make a playoff run? Honestly, if it were up to me, I'd say get the surgery now. A half-healthy Wilkins doesn't help much, especially if that foot slows him down or causes more long-term issues. It's better to miss the regular season and come back strong than to limp through it and risk your future. Either way, this decision could define the Raiders' 2025 season. We're just going to have to wait and see which road Wilkins chooses. If we're being honest, Christian Wilkins' long-term health should come first, no matter what. Even if it means the Raiders have to take a short-term hit, it's more important that Wilkins can recover and continue his career the right way. But while that situation develops, the focus is now shifting inside Raiders camp. Training camp is just around the corner. Rookies report on July 16th, veterans join 5 days later, and with that, a new conversation has started, this time about the offensive scheme. Lincoln Kennedy, a legendary former Raiders lineman and one of the best to ever play the position, recently shared insight that got fans and analysts talking. He's been back around the team since mandatory minicamp, closely watching how this new Chip Kelly offense is being installed. And what Kennedy noticed, it's very revealing. He said the Raiders are blending 2 run styles. On outside runs, they're leaning heavily on zone-blocking concepts, but on interior runs, it's mostly man-blocking schemes. This kind of flexibility is rare and powerful. It makes it harder for defenses to read the play before the snap. One play, it's zone stretch wide. The next, it's power right up the gut. Kennedy made an important point. I'm totally fine with that kind of versatility. If you don't lock into one system, teams can't predict what's coming. That's a big deal, because in today's NFL, especially in the AFC West, being unpredictable is a weapon. The Raiders don't have a Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert at quarterback, so their edge has to come from scheme, discipline, and toughness in the trenches. And, based on what Kennedy observed during practice, this new run game philosophy could be a difference maker. It lines up with some of the film already coming out from OTAs, showing linemen practicing wide zone footwork, while guards are getting physical in tight, straight-ahead drills. The message is clear. The Raiders are building an offense that attacks in multiple ways, and it starts with the run game. Let's break down what's happening with the Raiders' new run game strategy, and it's actually pretty smart. Former Raiders legend Lincoln Kennedy recently revealed some key details about what the offense is working on under new coordinator Chip Kelly. One of the biggest takeaways? The Raiders are focusing on outside runs using a zone blocking system. What does that mean? It means most of the run plays aimed at the edges, near the tackles and outside, will rely on zone movement, where offensive linemen block areas, not specific defenders. But there's more to it than that. This isn't just your standard outside zone. It's leaning heavily toward wide zone, the same system used by teams like the 49ers and Dolphins. It's fast, it's aggressive, and it's deadly if you've got the right running back. And guess what? The Raiders might just have their own weapon in Ashton Jeanty, a rookie with explosive speed and cutback ability. If Kelly installs this correctly, Jeanty could become a nightmare for defenses, just like Christian McCaffrey and Devon Achane in wide zone-heavy systems. Now, here's the twist. While the outside run game is all about zone, the inside runs will take a completely different approach. Instead of zone reads up the middle, the Raiders plan to use man-blocking schemes, often known as power runs. That means linemen will attack specific defenders with purpose, double-teaming when needed, then pushing up to linebackers. We've already seen signs of this at practice. Raiders linemen are working on double teams and second-level reach blocks, classic hallmarks of a power-based system. So what does it all mean? On the outside, expect zone and wide zone runs. Great for speedbacks and explosive plays. On the inside, expect power blocking. Tough, straight-ahead football built to control the line. This hybrid system, zone outside, man inside, adds serious versatility. It forces defenses to prepare for multiple styles, and it gives the Raiders flexibility based on matchups. And if Chip Kelly executes this correctly, the Raiders could quietly build one of the most effective and unpredictable run games in the AFC. Now let's talk about something that could quietly transform the Raiders' offense this season, the duo run scheme. Former O-lineman Lincoln Kennedy confirmed the Raiders are planning to use man-blocking on inside runs, and that likely means a whole lot of duo. This isn't just your average run concept. Duo is powerful, clean, and brutally effective, especially for a team trying to control the trenches. Here's how it works. The center and both guards, plus one of the tackles, double-team the two interior defensive linemen. Then, one player from each double team peels off and climbs to block a linebacker. What makes it special? It creates 5 running lanes between 4 linemen, giving the running back the freedom to choose the best path. It's like zone running, but with more control and more force up front. Sean McVay helped popularize this style in LA, and now it's being adapted across the league. And with Chip Kelly calling plays, it looks like the Raiders are ready to fully commit to it. We've already seen the team practicing these exact moves, double teams, quick climbs, and live reps with linebackers filling gaps. This is no coincidence. This is by design. Now think about pairing that with the wide zone game outside. It's a perfect 1-2 punch. Wide zone stretches the defense horizontally, duo punishes them straight up the middle. And here's where it gets exciting. If Colton Miller, one of the most athletic tackles in the league, can seal the edge on a wide zone play. That's all it takes. Just one clean block and Ashton Jeanty could be off to the races. So here's the big picture. The Raiders' run game isn't just about brute strength anymore. It's about calculated movement, smart angles, and giving their explosive backs room to work. If this system clicks, it won't just help the offense. It'll help control the clock, wear down defenses. If you give a dynamic runner like Ashton Jeanty just a sliver of space, he's gone. And in this wide zone plus duo scheme the Raiders are building, that's exactly the kind of opportunity he'll get. We've seen how dangerous this combo is with Christian McCaffrey in San Francisco or Devon Achane in Miami. Now, Vegas might have a similar explosion in their backfield if Jeanty hits his stride early. Even better, Jeanty already has experience running duo back at Boise State, and that familiarity could help him transition quickly into the NFL. He's not learning something new, he's just plugging into a faster, tougher version of what he already knows. This is the type of smart offensive structure the Raiders haven't had in years, and it speaks volumes about Chip Kelly's leadership. You see, one of the most common reasons offensive coordinators fail in the NFL is simple. They don't know how to build and install a system from scratch. They inherit someone else's playbook, tweak a few things, and call it their offense. But when they're asked to actually construct a full system, with blocking rules, route trees, protection packages, they fall apart. It's exactly what happened with former Raiders defensive coordinator Paul Guenther. Great in theory, struggled in reality. Same story with Luke Getsy, whose offense in Chicago never clicked, no matter how much time he was given. But with Chip Kelly, we're dealing with something completely different. This is a coach who has proven he can build an offense from the ground up. At Oregon, he created one of the most explosive college attacks of the decade. In Philadelphia, his offense set records in year one, and even during his college return with UCLA and Ohio State, his units consistently put up points. Now, Kelly's coming to Las Vegas, armed with experience, a strong run-game vision, and players who fit his style. If you're a Raiders fan, that should give you real hope, because this time, the system isn't being guessed at. It's being installed with precision, and that could be the difference between a struggling offense and one that powers the Raiders straight into the 2025 playoffs. Let's be clear, nothing's guaranteed, but for the first time in a long time, there's a real plan in place. And if this team starts clicking in November and December, don't be surprised if Super Bowl whispers start floating through Allegiant Stadium.